Don't do an income annuity. Do this instead. Had a guy reach out to me. He saw my spreadsheets and whatnot, and it's a really good suggestion. He goes, hey, instead of doing an SPIA, an income annuity, or an immediate annuity, the same thing, why don't you just do a fixed amount from like the Wellington, as per my my spreadsheets I'm running for my book, Retire on Wellington Fund. I said, man, that's a great idea. So I started messing around. We're going to dive into this. So let's go into seeing how this shakes out, because I think you'll get a lot out of this. All right. So we're going to do a couple things. We're going to do Right Capital, and then we're going to use my man Daniel Kulibert's spreadsheets here. So we're going to do two things because there's a lot going on. Two different scenarios that we got compared. All right. So basically with Right Capital, I'm using a forward projection rate of return, and that is going to be less than what Wellington Fund has historically given us, if that makes sense. So we're using a forward projection with Right Capital with a standard deviation of historical norms. We'll get in that in just a second. But we're projecting this to go forward. That's a Monte Carlo. Wellington is a historical amounts. All right, so that there's two completely different things, because history doesn't repeat itself. People say history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. I never understood that saying, by the way. It doesn't rhyme. For that saying to make sense, it has to rhyme. It doesn't. So I guess it sounds like itself, whatever. But we're using two different scenarios. One is historical, one's future projections. And we have no idea what it's going to come out to be. So first case, we're going to look at Wellington. And what we're going to do is we've got Daryl and Patty's sample again. And basically their net worth just literally consists of $1 million in an investment account. We got all in the Target 2030 fund, and I have a house that we're not going to get to a reverse mortgage or anything, but certainly they should take a reverse mortgage later on if they want. We're going to say their $1 million is in a taxable account just for simplicity. I'm just doing it for simplicity, my friends. We're not, don't freaking go crazy here. We're just keeping simple, stupid. If it's in an IRA, you have to pay tax on this, but that's not the point. The point is I want to take a certain amount each and every year and not adjust it for inflation. So what we're going to do, I think I got it over here, expenses. So we're going to take $70,000 a year out. All right, that's $5,800 a month. So that's $7,000, 7% distribution initially, and we're going to fix it. We're not going to adjust it for inflation. So 5833 times 12 is $70,000. We're going to take $70,000 a month. Now, forget the pre-retirement living expense. They're already retired. None of that matters. We're not having health care. We're not having anything. Don't say anything about health care. Don't say anything about this. Don't say anything about that. We're just doing it to see if we can take $70,000 a year off $1 million portfolio and not run out of money, giving the Monte Carlo standard deviations and rates of return we're going to show. All right, so because that's so important, what is the rate of return we're going to show? We got them 80-20 bonds. 80-20 stocks to bonds, which is a 5.8% annual return with a 12.6% standard deviation. I think that's actually spot on. I think it's a great projection to use for sure. All right. We already talked about their holdings. What else? We're going to have them. Let me just show you real quick. I think we got them where we live in Tennessee. So they have no state income tax, right? Okay. So basically, we just want to see if they can make a $70,000 distribution off $1 million portfolio for 30 years. They're 60 years old. They're both going to live until they're 90. All right, so let's hit retirement. Let's see what it shakes out to be. We got 49% probability of success. If we go to confidence, the median right there is at 89. 89 is when they basically hit zero. All right, so they have 0 at 90. Isn't that interesting? So the median, 50% of the time they have more, 50% of the time they have less, but right there. So that's I tell you, that doesn't bother me in the least, actually. That's interesting to me. All right, so now if we go right here, the median when they're 90 is 0. All right, so basically what we're saying here is there's 50% of the time or more you had no money. Right here we'll go at 74. 50% of the time they had $550,000. 5% of the time they ran out. 5% of the time they had over 1.76 million. All right, so again, the median is a good place to look at it. And I'm kind of comfortable with that, actually. Probability is 49%. So let's go down here. And we can see, I think I need to change. Let me just, other goal. I think we want other income. Hold on just a second. Let's see if that was it. Oh, right here. Okay, cool. So that was pretty interesting to me. So we're gonna mess around with this a little bit, but that's not bad, man. Now that is a pretty. Let's change the portfolio around a little bit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, okay, instead of having a more heavy stock and with more volatility, let's make it a little bit less. We'll say more of a moderate. And moderate, I'll show you what a moderate will be. If we go to investments, a moderate will be 60-40, a 5% rate of return. So lower rate of return, but significantly lower standard deviation or volatility. Remember, Monte Carlo is based on volatility. Yeah, so then it goes to 34%. So that's you got to get the higher return for sure. All right, so that's not going to work. All right, so then I say, okay, what if we went to just 100% stocks? We're going to go U.S. stock market, which is 6.5% with I think a 17% volatility. 52. Now look at that. All right, cool. So let's go to confidence. Look, so our median, we never ran out of money for the median. All right, now let's go to cash flow. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here for sure. And there goes 70,000 a year. We got no taxes again because we don't care about taxes. We just care about, can I make this work? You know, I might need 50,000 a year to spend. I don't care, but we're just trying to show you what you can do. 70,000 a year until they hit 90 years old. All right, so now if we go to accounts, now this won't be very helpful, but I want to show you. This says you're getting 6.5 a year each and every year. That's not subject to Monte Carlo. It's just a linear rate of return. You just can't do that. So you don't want to do that. But anyway, if we go to so let's try something else. Let's do this. Let's go back to analysis. That looks okay to me. Now, hang in there because there's going to be a couple of things to go here. I want to change, let's have them dying at 85. We'll have 85 and 85 each. So we're going to make it 25 years as opposed to 30 years. And that should increase it significantly. Yeah, so it definitely increases it significantly. That's interesting. If we go to confidence, look at the median. All I really care about is the median. I really do. I mean, if I'm literally trying to get you over 75%, but man, that's interesting to me. Let's go have them live in 30 years again. So most people aren't going to live 30 years in retirement, but let's just and instead of doing 50, let's do instead of 70,000, let's do 65,000 a year. So we're going to do 65 divided by 12, 54.16, 54.16. So that'd be 54.16 a month. And let's see what we got. With the U.S. total stock, 59%. Look at that. Huh. Let's go back to this guy, current allocation. Okay, all right, gotcha. So if we make it 65,000, 6.5% withdrawal, that's interesting. So if we go to 88, let's just say they're going to take 2 years off their lives, and they're going to both get coronavirus together, and they're going to die at the same time. Then we're at 62. All right, I love it. I love these screens. Okay, so that's interesting to me. That is interesting to me. So what if we just did 5,000 a month? All right, adjusted for inflation, 5,000 a month. And I'm going to show you what 5,000 a month will do. All right, so 5,000 a month at current allocation with a planning horizon of 28 years. You're basically in pretty good shape there, in my opinion. Your median is at 418 right there, so you're in pretty good shape. Now, the question is, what does 5,000 a month look like not inflated? So let's go back to a profile, and what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this for the time being. Let's just zero that out. And now we're going to say we have a retirement income goal right here, goals. We'll say 4,000 a month for simplicity to go by the old school rule. The 4% rule, no, 4,000 a month. That'd be not 4,000 a month. That'd be we need 40,000 a year to hit the 4% rule. 40,000 divided by 12 is 33.33. All right, let's see what that looks like for inflation. All right, so let's go retirement. So 4% adjusted for inflation. We'll go to cash flows. And 39. So remember, we were doing what, 70,000 a year before, and when is it going to hit above 70,000? Not until you were 89 years old. I mean, that's at 4% 4% a year. I mean, I find that to be freaking stupid. Why would you? I just don't understand. You're going to say, well, I'm only taking 4% a year out because that's what the Bengen rule is, and that's what the Trinity study is, and that's what all the other people say. I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, but you're not, in this case, you're not even come close to what I'm taking out at all until you're freaking right here at 89 years old, even adjusted with inflation. And by the way, it's not like you're not having a chance to run out of money. I mean, look, you still only you have an 81% chance of, well, let's go back to current. Let's make this 90. Well, yeah, there it is, 90. That's right, because that's a current plan. So you got an 80, you have only an 81% chance of success anyway. You see what I'm saying? With a 4% rule. And I'm like, look, I give you 60% with a spend a hell of a lot more money in the front end. All right, now the drawback here, and this is why I said don't do an annuity, because look at this. This is a husband and wife, 60 years old, a life in 20 years certain, right there is $361 a month. That's it. And that's not adjusted for inflation either. $360, man. So we take our trusty calculator, we times that by 360 by 12. That's a 4.3% distribution yield. Oh, don't want that on. I mean, so you can do a SPIA and get freaking $360 a month that's $43,000 a month a year guaranteed. Whip de flip and do on $1 million. I mean, why would anyone do a SPIA? It makes no sense. Well, you have mortality credits and stuff. Okay, I mean, but by the time the mortality credits in, you got to survive at least 20 years. I mean, think about it. You do it with just $1 million. You're getting 3,000. You're getting 43,000 a year. Divide that by $1 million. Divided by 43,000 a year. It's going to take you 23.2 years before you even break even. Before you make any money off this SPIA. Nuts. All right, so let's go to my man Daniel Coolbert's spreadsheets here. And here's a historical amount. So here I'm taking the Wellington, going back to 1930, and I'm doing a 70% fixed rate, 70%. We're not adjusted with inflation. We're just saying 70,000 a year coming out of $1 million. And you can see 31 times out of 42. So 31 out of 42, let's see, 31 divided by 42. So 74% of the times we were successful, that we had money left. Look at that, man. I mean, so let's see. We got, let's go back here. Do I got it right there? Where do I got to find? Hold on just a second. There's a chart in here someplace, and you should go buy Daniel's stuff for sure. Oh, here, we ran out of money. Oh, right here. So we ran out of money here in 1930, and that was in 1941 if we're taking 70,000 a year out. Now, what if we made the S&P 500, though? So let's go to the S&P 500, and I think we got that right there. And let's see, 28 times out of 42 we're successful. 28 times out of 42. So we take 28 divided by 42. 66% of the time we're successful just in the S&P 500 at 70,000 a year, or 7% initial fixed. And here you can see we didn't last a decade in the S&P 500. What if we retired in 1931 as opposed to 1932? 1931. Oops, hold on just a second. We retired in 1931 right there. All right. Were we successful in 1930? I gotta say no way, right? Let's see. No, ran out of money. All right. So what if we did the Wellington in 1931? And when you buy Daniel's stuff, you can do all this yourself. It's freaking awesome. So Wellington in 1931, we ran out of money in 1952. But either way, man, you had over 60, 2/3 of the time you had money when you died. And the S&P 500 or the Wellington Fund going back to 1932. All right, what if we retired in 1973? All right, that's the heart of the beginning of the great inflation that we had. And now we're just the Wellington Fund. We retired in 1973, hugely inflationary. We were taking 70,000 a year, not adjusting for inflation. And let's see, when did we run out of money? Never. We never ran out of money. Isn't that freaking nuts? What if we retired in 1960? That's just the Wellington Fund. What if we retired in 1966? I bet we did. Yeah, we did in 1980. So we ran out of money in 20 years in 1966 because of the inflationary times that came in the latter part of the 60s and the 70s. But if you do the S&P 500, I bet you didn't. I did not. I bet VFIX. There we go. In 1966, taking 70,000 a year out of the S&P 500, not adjusting for inflation. That's Ginnie Mae. Do I get? Yeah, I want. Hold on a second. I want the S&P right there. I bet we did not run out of money. 1966. Let's see. Oops, what happened? Hold on just a second. I screwed something up. What did I screw up? Okay, VFIM. Why didn't I do that? That's weird. VF. I guess let's just do the S&P 500 then. There we go. Oh, there was no S&P 500 back then. That's right. All right, so the S&P 500, no, it did not run out of money in 1966, taking 70,000 a year out. I don't know how you can do it in an annuity in this day and age, an income annuity. That's crazy. So I did it both ways. I said, no, let's, well, we already made it as aggressive as we could possibly be in right capital. I just don't know. I mean, I don't know how you can do an annuity. I think doing a fixed rate and just a higher fixed rate and just not adjusting for inflation is the way to go. Now, if it gets real dicey, we got to tighten your belt, man, for sure. And I thought about doing that, like saying, okay, what if we did 70,000 a year fixed, and then 10, 15 years later, drop it to the equivalent of 5,000 a year. Or a month, or 50,000 a year or something like that. But basically, it's the same thing because after inflation, that 50,000 a year today is the equivalent of 70,000 a year in 15 years. That makes sense. So I said, let's just do 70,000 a year fixed. Ah, man, I love it. All right. Anyway, I'd like to hear your thoughts. We'll see you.